Coach, I know you're excited. A brand new season upon us once again. Let me ask you before we break this team down a little bit. The expectations of this program are a whole lot different than maybe they were in past years because you guys win so much right now. What and how do you keep those expectations high and you continue to win year in and year out?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with the players that you have. We've been pretty fortunate to have some really dedicated young men. That put the time in the off season to work on their individual game, and then also they have the team concept. So they really do put winning in front of themselves, and so that makes it enjoyable as well. And then I've always talked about the coaching staff. Stability is big with us here and up here. We've had the same coaching staff just about since I started and took over the boys program, and even when I was coaching the girls a couple years here, when you used to coach the girls as well. During that time, it's the same guys, and we've been able to add Coach Llewellyn, who's got a great basketball mind as well. So, I think the motto that the seniors come up with this year is, tradition never graduates. We've been able to graduate 3 and 4 starters every year. Last year we graduate 4 more. And, the expectations are for the long haul during the season and not so much, the first game of the year and then that kind of thing. So, we take it a game-by-game basis and our goals are set for the end of the year.
I was thinking about that on the way up here. It's mind-boggling to think the talent you've lost over the last 2 to 3 years. It's amazing. And, again, you come back with a strong unit, looks like, again, this year. That's just incredible.
Well, like I said, the kids really, they buy in. They work year-round. This has probably been the first year. And, at a 2A school, it's very rare that your top 9 players did not play a fall sport. And it's not a good thing. I wish they would play 2 and 3 sports. And they do, most of them, but a lot of them play spring sport. They don't really, but it just so happens. So we actually started a little bit earlier this year with conditioning than what we usually do. I usually don't like to start until the first week of October, let them get through tennis and cross country, and then we root for the football team to go as far as they possibly can, which, we've had some really good football teams as well. So, that's, it's the mindset of the kids. They're, you talk about 2 or 3 years ago, you think about 4 years ago, we're having our alumni weekend coming up Thanksgiving weekend, and, we graduated Joey Claypool, Grant Esposito, Tucker Shepard, Craig Dingworth. I mean, that's probably, that might be the greatest team of all time. But then you come back a few years later and you have Robert Smith and Deshaun and Bailey Stewart and some really, really good players that just put in the time and like you said, us only having 2 seniors this year, but we have a lot of experience. But I play a little bit of a different style. It might drive some people crazy sometimes, but I sub 8, 9 kids in. But every year we've got 4 or 5 kids with a lot of experience coming back.
You lose one of the greatest players that you've ever had from last year's team, and he's off to a good start now in college. And you never replace a young man like that, but I guess I'm going to have to ask it, how do you replace a player like that?
Well, this year's team will be a little bit different. We really feel that if we can get a 2 or 4 point lead with 3-4 minutes to go, we have some really good free throw shooters, and we don't turn the ball over much. And so ball control will be a lot better this year than maybe in years past, or our style will be a little bit different. We'll still push it and get up and down the floor, but we feel, if we need to hold it for a minute or two, we're going to be able to do that. And we did some of that this summer, just taking a look at it, and I think this will be a lot more of a ball control. With the players that we have, it may be 2 or 3 different guys every night, that contribute, and it's going to be depending on what other teams want to do against us as far as their strategy. If they want to take away, the inside game. We got some pretty good shooters on the outside as well. So, it's going to be depending on a game-by-game basis. But, this year will be more, rather than Nate and Tyler, Nate Reynolds and Tyler Smith maybe leading us every night. It's going to be more of a, could be Freeman one night, could be Jordan one night, could be Jalen, could be a freshman or 2. So, it's, and that's going to make it fun. Every day is different in practice.
Hey, speaking of Freeman, he's getting some notice and certainly should be. Good big kid. Talk a little bit about his development over the summer and your expectations for him this year.
Well, he's really since he's moved here. He really did not have much of an inside game. I mean, he must have played a lot outside when he was in Kansas, and he's really worked hard with his back to the basket, being able to turn and face. And now he's a threat. He's a threat inside. He's a threat outside. He had some toughness that we need inside as well, and he's grown. I think when he got here, he was probably 6'5", 6'6", but I'd say he's a good 6'7" now, and he's really worked on his three-point shot, which will make him a threat outside. We had a young man my first year that could kind of do that, but he was only about 6'3", and Will Claywell, but he worked really hard. On his outside shot and was able to knock that down. And, I kind of used some of those instances with Freeman. And, now he's, DePaul's been to, with a W, they've been to our open gyms twice, and they tell me, he's their number one recruit. He's been offered IU South Bend. Denison wants him. He's getting a lot of D3, NAIA looks, but he's a very smart kid. And so he's going to go where the education's best for him. And that's one of the things, you were talking about with Tyler that we really try to implement up here too is, you're going to go to school for your education. Go where you fit in the best. And so, he hasn't, I don't think he's made up his mind yet, but he's definitely, he's got some schools coming in. And then, as they come in, we send out a list of colleges every year. And I kind of go player by player all the way down to our freshman class. So, we point out all the other kids as well. So hopefully, this kind of thing continues. We've had over 30 colleges in over the last 4 and 5 years, during the fall. And, it helps motivate the kids.
You have certainly another tough schedule. I mean, and you have to have if you're going to get ready for tournament time. And you're going to play a very tough team in that opener, too. And we'll certainly talk about that, hopefully, when we get closer. But how does that schedule develop you guys and get you ready for a tough sectional and try to advance from there?
Well, we were looking. I think we start the first five out of 6 on the road. We're going to go to Centerville for our conference game on the road early in the year. We go to Eastern Hancock, who graduated 0 seniors. There's going to be a good ball club over there, and I think those kind of games. Monroe Central, of course, they're in the football semi-state now, so that for opening game is going to get moved. But and then Morristown, like you said, we play them here. That'll be our one home game before I do believe Shenandoah and Seton back-to-back weekend will have a home game. But that's the third week of December, so we're going to know early where we're at. But I don't. We know going into these games, I don't dwell on wins and losses. If we lose, it's because a team showed us our weaknesses, things that we need to work on and get better. So, maybe we didn't guard the pick and roll very well, or maybe, we didn't rebound very well. So, we're going to go back and we're going to try to fix that so the next game it doesn't happen again. And, I don't know. I think our kids kind of like playing on the road some. So I think, we try to thrive at that. Our sectionals on the road, our county tourneys on the road. So, you got to embrace those situations. And, we'll play, we try to schedule, a pretty tough schedule. We did drop Pendleton Heights this year, not drop, but we both mutually, went a different direction. And really that was a game that I was trying to get Tyler some Indiana All-Star exposure towards Indianapolis last year. And, of course, we're not going back to Jeffersonville. We're going to go to South Ripley's tournament, which is more a 1A, 2A tournament rather than going to Jeffersonville. And then that was another one of trying to get Nate and Tyler some exposure on the South. So, you kind of go by what players you have. If you got a kid that might have a chance at the Indiana All-Star, then you're going to pick out some situations that might help them out. So
that's what it's all about too. Hey, I got to ask you, do you think the players cherish the idea of knowing that you kind of have that target on your back every year because you guys have had the success and people come to knock you guys off?
Yeah, I think we're going to get everybody's best. I mean, we're a big game. There's certain games I think rivalry games, and Connorsville, we've kind of developed a rivalry there. We beat them in overtime 3 years ago, and then they beat us at third place. Then last year's games went to overtime, and and they're hostile games. I mean, they're not. I mean, they're kids, techs, whatever. But I think Coach Brown does a great job there. But there's certain games like that you circle and you really kind of look forward to. Those games there will help you more in the long run, getting ready for a tournament than than maybe a game that, you're going to win by 20 or 30. So, yeah, I think, that they know it, and when you lose some of them games, I kind of like to have my kids watch the celebration, see what, and try to be ready for the next game.
Hey, before I let you go, you open up scrimmage-wise. You're going to play Richmond here, which I think, as you said before we started the interview, is a good thing for your basketball team. Talk about that scrimmage and kind of what do you expect out of that?
Well, I think I'm hoping that, Coach Wedlow thinks it's a really good scrimmage for them as well. I think we play some teams a lot like Richmond. Like I said, I was going to do some things against the Harvey kid that maybe we were going to do against the Nash kid in the Monroe Central game. Well, we probably won't do that now, so Christian will probably be happy. But, Christian's one of the best players, in the state, definitely East Central Indiana. So, and then, Rick's son, Low Ricky, is a great player as well. And, I think, these kids all know each other. They play all the time. They're probably putting more emphasis in it than what me and Coach Wedlow will. We're going to work on the things that we need to get ready for our season, just like he's going to work on the things that he needs to get ready for. But I think it's going to be a great environment. And I think that's, you want a little bit of that hostility. You want a little bit of that environment just to get you going, And I think, like I said, they'll put a lot of people put more into it than really what it is. I wish them nothing but the best this season, and and I actually been texting Rick back and forth about how we want to do the format, and it's 7:30 next Thursday, and it'll just be a good night for both of us.
Hey, I got to ask you too, if I can. I know you're always anxious for a brand new season. Are you more anxious now just to kind of see how this team's going to do and get this thing underway?
Yeah, we've got 18 points coming back, and through the summer, I really think this basketball team can probably be one of the best defensive teams we've had, because they work so hard at the defensive end. Now, scoring wise, that's a question mark. Who's going to be the guys that step up consistently, and give us what we need. If you look back at the past, we really like to have 4 guys in double figures. And I think if you look at the best teams around, that's what you want. And so, it's going to be interesting to see. Right now we've got 10, 11 guys battling for 8, 9 spots. So it makes for good practices. But, yeah, I think everybody, anybody that's in this sport or, even watches this sport, I think we were all excited to watch, not the result that we wanted, but, watch IU last night, watch Purdue last night, watch TCU, with Desmond. And then, I followed Tyler, online as well. And, what a great Friday night.